Hello and welcome to the NorseForce Racing League Valhalla Cup Series here live tonight from Dover International Speedway here in Dover, Delaware. The drivers here for the second race of the first round of their playoffs, and you can see the point standings coming into tonight's event right there on your screen, as well as the qualifying board as we are taking a look at Zach Nichols, the number 44 machine, who comes in here up there second in the point standings behind Matt Kemp, who won last week, and the rest of our winners that are in the playoffs all down below the cut line coming into tonight's race and looking to be in trouble. But the points are still very close. The leader, Matt Kemp, only ahead by just a point over Zach Nichols and only 8 points above the cut line, so it is possible for any of these drivers to fall out into that bottom four and not advance to round number 2. But Zach Nichols goes to second on the board here behind Nicholas Short, who has had an incredible qualifying streak over the past 8 weeks or so, as we look on board with Eric Royce now and see what he is doing on the racetrack. The number 72 machine headed towards the line to start his hot lap, the NorseForce Racing Ford Mustang. We want to thank you for tuning in here on V-Speed. My name is Adam Baker, and I will be your commentator here tonight. I want to thank you for tuning in, and want to thank all the sponsors of this league and of the channel. That is Crockett Creek Beef Jerky, bringing you the race tonight. Check them out. We're going to put their info in the chat, and you'll see commercials from them throughout the event. We also want to thank the ButtKicker, Next Level Racing, and Blaze Pizza, as well as a sponsor of V-Speed, Below the Double Yellow Line podcast, and brand new podcast. They have already put out their first episode. It's a podcast for race fans by race fans, talking about some of the issues and activities going on in the NASCAR racing world. So check that out over on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. Put that up on the screen here. Find on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That's going to be the cover that you're looking for, with that classic number 88 up against the 20 as the cover of the podcast. But they are recording their second episode right now, and got some cool news in the pipeline for those guys. But check them out and give them a listen. But qualifying coming to a close here. Looks like everyone except for John Houston has taken a time. Just going to be 10 or 11 cars in the field tonight, so small field, and the race is being shortened tonight from 200 laps down to 150, so just 150 miles around the Monster Mile here at Dover, Delaware. And it will be interesting to see what happens tonight and who is going to make it into the next round of the playoffs. But let's hear a quick word from a couple of our sponsors, and we'll be back with the starting grid.
At Crockett Creek Beef Jerky, we don't have fancy Madison Avenue advertising. We don't have famous Hollywood endorsements. We don't have mythical creatures as mascots. See, here at Crockett Creek, we're proud of what we don't have. No artificial preservatives or chemicals, gluten-free, and no added MSG. Just all natural, small batch protein made in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains. Enjoy Crockett Creek Jerky, from our backyard to yours.
With the ButtKicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. ButtKicker, the future is feeling.
We have race cars on the racetrack getting ready to get going here tonight for race number 2 of the playoffs. Let's go to our starting grid here for tonight's event. Starting on the pole, Nicholas Short for the second week in a row, and Zach Nichols going to be starting on hit outside here. Nicholas on an incredible roll in terms of qualifying, just looking for that first victory of the season, as well as Zach Nichols, who has had 4 runner-up finishes in the last 5 weeks. So he's looking to capture his first checkered flag. Chris Samard going to be rolling off in third after a great run last week at Charlotte, and Anthony Burrows trying to dig himself out of the hole that he finds himself in coming into tonight's race, starting in fourth. Kirk Marble going to be rolling off in fifth here tonight. Matt Kemp going to be starting in the 6th position after winning last week's event, looking to just get a solid finish and make it in. But Derek Justice starting in 7th here tonight. He is also looking to climb from below the cut line into the next race. Keith Mayato starting in the 8th position to his outside. In 9th position, it's going to be Eric Royce, and I believe rounding out the field is going to be Ian Smith, the number 28 machine, starting in 10th. So going to be a short field here tonight, but probably not going to be short on action, as we will be going here in just a minute after a quick pace lap around. But let's take a look at our weather here tonight coming into the race. 104 degree track temp with an 80 degree air temp. Definitely going to make conditions slick out here for these drivers, and Dover can be a tricky track. But with the new downforce package and lower horsepower, they will have plenty of rear grip. But will they be pushing through the turns? We'll have to find out once we get going here. But yes, Cody Kennedy, definitely a small field, but some of the best drivers in iRacing are here. And these guys all competing for spots in the next round of the playoffs. This is the cutoff race in round number 1. And the field working their way through turns 3 and 4. Nicholas Short going to lead them to the green flag with Zach Nichols to his outside. Waiting to get underway here at Dover International Speedway as the pace car cruises down pit lane, and we are underway. Spinning the tires is the 99. Everybody checks up behind him, but Zach Nichols gets out into clean air, and he will take the lead right off the get-go. And a big gap back to Chris Samard, who's got Kirk Marble all over the back bumper. So trouble on the initial start sends Nicholas Short from 1st to 5th, and fighting to get back into the 4th position as he is on the inside of Matt Kemp, who's showing in the number 5. We'll bring up our ticker here so you can follow along with your favorite driver and cheer them on in the chat. And we'll give you a shout out on the broadcast here. Lap 2 underway as Nicholas Short really sends it in low underneath Kirk Marble. to take away the third position. He's going to slide up right in front of the 61 and right behind the 37 as they make their way down into turns 1 and 2. Again, it is nose to tail from 2nd through 6th as Chris Simard slips up the racetrack. Here goes short down to the inside, showing that qualifying speed in the initial first few laps, and we'll see if he can maintain that on the long run. But right behind him, Kirk Marble hanging up there in the top 3 is the 99. You can see how hard he is driving it into the corner. And just really pushing that race car and the limits of its grip down into the entry of the turn as he now peeks to the inside of Zach Nichols, and he'll go right back to the lead now after the initial start. Spinning the tires, it only took just about 4 laps for him to get back up out in front. And Zach Nichols drops to 2nd, and he's going to lead this train now with Kirk Marble, Anthony Burrows, and Matt Kemp finding themselves all inside the top 5 in the early going here. And a small gap back to Chris Simard, who's under pressure from Eric Royce. And here comes Ian Smith now down to the inside of the V-Speed Camaro. And he's in a V-Speed sandwich at number 28 Ford Mustang. And Ian is going to make a little move to the inside. Looks like Chris not going to give him any type of advantage going into turn 1 as he cut him off, shut the door there, and Ian Smith looking to try and find his way around as they battle for 7th through 9th right there on your screen. But Zach Nichols definitely holding up the 61 of Kirk Marble, and Anthony Burrows now going to try and take advantage as he goes to the inside down through turns 1 and 2. Anthony Burrows, who's dominated this season, did not have the run that we would have expected from him last week at Charlotte, coming home in the 9th position. And I believe that was the 2nd worst finish of the season for him, and it came in a very inopportune time, but trying to make that up here, and definitely in a good spot early on in this race. But he's got to be careful to not get himself any damage by battling too hard. So he takes over 2nd now as Zach Nichols slips up the racetrack, and the 44 starting to struggle a little bit. Here goes the 61 to the inside, and Matt Kemp going to get right up to the back bumper of the 44 machine. These two look like they're racing pretty much identical schemes, probably teammates, and I was not aware of that coming into tonight's event. But both sporting the Nichols design colors, the red and blue there. Nice looking paint schemes. And Eric Royce now closing in on those two. And Cody Kennedy in the chat cheering on Kirk Marble, and Kirk up there in the 3rd spot doing a good job. As now to the inside goes Eric Royce, not going to be able to make the move work. And Nicholas Short is just driving away now, almost 2 seconds ahead of the field, out on an island here in this first portion of the race. And one has to wonder if he's going to burn those tires up too quickly, and we saw that happen last week at Charlotte after he took the pole. He had some problems staying out in front, and Matt Kemp would reel him in as the run would progress. But right now that gap steady at 2 seconds between 1st and 2nd place. Kirk Marble just 3/10 behind the 62 machine. And Derek Justice in the back here. Maybe going to try and pull a similar strategy to what we saw last week at Charlotte, where he came all the way from the back of the field to take the lead, only to have a pit road speeding penalty cost him any shot at a win. And right now he is sitting shotgun on the field, 10th position. And we'll see what he can do to try and make up some ground, but currently 5.2 seconds behind your leader. And Things starting to go single file now, but still nose to tail up here inside the top 5, and things could get dicey quickly. This last week's winner, Matt Kemp, rides in the 5th position. Eric Royce right there behind him. Ian Smith starting to close that gap up. And a couple different lines working for these guys tonight, but I think overall you want to stay down in the lower 2 grooves. Some people will try and drift up a bit and then cut it back down. Some people will hook right along the inside line. And some might even run just a more middle line in general. As you see from Matt Kemp, that time he came in a bit higher entry and then cut it down. Kind of rode the lower line out of the corner. Very unique lines can be run at the Monster Mile, and working out differently for different drivers. But Anthony Burrows still out in front of Kirk Marble. That gap not closing up. He did run a slightly faster lap than Nicholas Short, but see if the gap starts to close back down. This time looks like it might be. We'll take a look at their lap times. Another 400ths taken off. So he is starting to close the gap, but Anthony Burrows not close enough to make the move just yet. And towards the back of the pack, Keith Maotto also, he did a very similar strategy to the number 31 machine last week, and it paid off for him. He came home with a 3rd place finish and pretty good standing in the playoff points. Derek Justice led him, and I believe it was Eric Royce up through the field, and they just charged their way from the back of the pack and slicing and dicing all the way to the front. And Maotto ended up coming out on the winning side of that strategy. With the other 2 making mistakes on pit lane, he automatically gained a couple spots and had some fresher tires and didn't have to take as much fuel. So it was an interesting strategy that did pay off for the 36. Nicholas Short out in front though. The gap is closing now. Burrows down to 1 3/4 seconds. That time off turn 2, and 62 sporting a slightly different look here. Nice simple paint scheme. Little bit of Miami Vice theme going on here. As he has chopped about 2/10 off the lead, but not gaining at the rate that I think he would have expected just yet. We want to thank you all for tuning in here on V-Speed. You can find previous broadcasts over on YouTube at V-Speed Media. Please feel free to consider subscribing or following on any of these platforms. Facebook is where we post our announcements for each and every race we go live with. You can also find those updates on Twitter and Instagram, as well as new merchandise and products and on-site reporting. So check us out on all of those platforms and stay up to date with what V-Speed is doing throughout the week. Out in front, it is still Nicholas Short. The gap 1.6 seconds, and then Kirk Marble 2.4 back. Eric Royce not far behind, but he has gotten past Zach Nichols, and so Nichols starting in the 2nd position. He led the first few laps here. Led 4 laps so far tonight. He is currently back in the 5th spot and doesn't look to be moving forward. What we've seen from Zach in the past is he's very good on the long runs, very good at saving tires, and he shows up at the end of these races often just a little bit too late. So we'll see what he can do here today at Dover, as it looks like we're kind of in for a green flag style race, and no real mistakes being made by any of these drivers. tough here to run long green flag runs and preserve your equipment, especially with this new downforce package. The way that dirty air works, it can be very tough to ride behind someone and keep the tires from cooking underneath you, as Derek Justice is closing in now on Keith Maiato. I think he's going to start to make his move towards the front here now, 30 laps into the event. We want to let you in on a little deal right now. You can save 20% on your purchase of ButtKicker products. Head on over to thebuttkicker.com and use the code NORSE20. You'll save 20% off your entire purchase of any of their products. And it supports the league here. So check out ButtKicker products over on their website. See if there's anything that suits your needs and can improve your immersion here in iRacing. The link is in the chat. Great sponsor of this series, as Derek Justice still working on the back bumper of Keith Maiato, and Chris Samard right up there a couple tenths in front. The two V-Speed machines fairly comfortable coming into tonight's race in terms of points. You can see Maiato in third and Samard in fourth, but still anybody's game to make it up there inside the top 8, as the farthest one back is going to be Dylan Parker. And he is going to be eliminated by not racing, as well as Dylan Alt. So it's really down to 10 drivers for 8 spots. Who are going to be the two eliminated here tonight is the question. But it has been a fun season, now 20 races into the season, and Nicholas Short looking for his first victory. Currently leading over Anthony Burrows, who has 5 on the season, and would love one to get back up inside the top 8 in points, currently putting himself in a good position to do so here in second place. But we are going to cut quickly to a green flag side-by-side commercial break. We'll be right back with more racing action.
Okay, we're going to keep this quick.
Because at Blaze Pizza,
artisanal quality at crazy fast speed is what we're all about.
Fresh dough made from scratch daily.
Walk the line and choose any toppings you'd like.
It's all one price.
Then it's just 180 seconds in our blazing hot oven
For fast bar perfection.
That's Blaze Pizza. Sound good?
Then come check us out and build your own pizza at Blaze Pizza.
With the ButtKicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. ButtKicker, the future is feeling.
And back to the racetrack now. The battle for the lead is starting to close up. Anthony Burrows down to just under 1.5 seconds behind Nicholas Short. So he has chopped about a third or a quarter of that lead away. And Zach Nichols has climbed back to the third position and showing that long run speed. He is the fastest on the racetrack right now. That time by, though, actually a bit slower than Anthony Burrows, who's out in front of him. He is shown as the fastest driver. And then Derek Justice also climbing through the field now. He's starting to put pressure on this pack of race cars in front of him. Starting with Matt Kemp in the 7th position. Derek trying to get back to where he started the race. And Matt Kemp just trying to hang on to the points buffer that he has. It looks like he's trying to not make any mistakes and just run at his own pace here tonight. And he is in good shape to advance, really, regardless of what happens. He'd have to be beaten in the exact opposite order of how they finished last week for him to not advance. So he's going to be in good shape for tonight's race, but no reason to try and hang around. If you do think you have the race car to get up there and contend for a win, but right now Eric Royce scrubs up against the wall there. He's got Ian Smith closing in on him. That'll be for 5th and 6th position. Ian still for his first victory of the year, and surprised to have not seen him capture one just yet this year. I know how strong Ian can be. And we haven't talked too much about him throughout the year. Had a few races early on in the season that were pretty solid efforts. But as of late, has not had quite the results that we would have expected. He does have 2 top 5s on the season, 9 top 10s, but 4 DNFs really hurt him there through the mid-stretch of the year. And he's currently tied for the 7th position in points coming into tonight's event. So just on the inside of the cut line, but trying to increase that gap over the rest of the drivers. But here comes Derek Justice now. He's gotten by Matt Kemp and goes to the 7th spot. Ian Smith just out in front of him, and Derek not really gaining a ton of time on the leaders, but definitely on fresher tires than everybody else, having saved for so long at the start of the race. And that seems to be a big key to this new tire model. You don't want to superheat the tires too quickly. You might pay the price on the long run. As Chris Simard now starting to move forward as well. The V-Speed machines taking note of what Derek Justice has done here in the last couple of races, and now Keith Miyata going to slip on past. That's going to send Matt Kemp back to the 10th position, last on the field. As out in front, Nicholas Short is leading, but the gap slowly closing. You can see Anthony Burrows back there, and he's bringing Zach Nichols along with him. So that gap shrinking lap by lap here. And yeah, for some reason Matt Kemp showing up as number 5 on the broadcast here tonight. But he is number 48 throughout the season, so we'll have to figure out what's going on with that. But Chris Simard able to go right on past Ian Smith, and now Keith Miyata working on the back bumper of the 28. As Simard trying to follow in the footsteps of Derek Justice is working so far, having dropped back quite a ways from the start of the race. It looked like he was saving early, and he fell back into the clutches of Justice, who's now only about 4 or 5 car lengths behind the 72 of Eric Royce. That gap slowly decreasing as the 31 sends it through the low line of turns 1 and 2, closes that gap up by another 10th or so. And it is showing him as the fastest car on the speedway. Chris Simard right up there in terms of lap times, and Keith Miyata also very, very quick. All 3 of them having saved tires early on in this event. The gap from Anthony Burrows to Nicholas Short now right around 1 second, so 55 laps into the race. This is when things are starting to heat up. As Burrows running pretty smooth and consistent here. It looks like Nicholas Short did cook the tires a little bit. He's starting to lose ground to Nichols and Burrows. Now Eric Boyce under attack from Chris Simard. Derek Justice was able to slip on past. Now Simard goes on by. And here comes Keith Maiato. All three of them making their way through the field. And someone is going to have to change their tactics at some point throughout the playoffs here, or this is just going to continue to work for both Maiato and Justice. And Derek, with the mistake last week, like we said, but definitely showed speed and was going to be the winning car, I think, if he hadn't made the mistake. And right now, showing the same kind of long run speed. He's now in the 4th, being in 10th place just under 10 laps ago. Maiato goes to the inside of Eric Royce. He will complete that pass down here in turns 3 and 4. Move up to the 6th position. And fuel run probably going to be close to 75, maybe even 80 laps at the 1 mile track here. But we'll have to see if anybody comes in sooner than that. You could probably split this about halfway if you can stretch it that far. And that may be a tactic, as actually Ian Smith brings it down, so maybe the pit window is open for these guys, and he's going to go lap down. Kirk Marble sitting on pit lane, not sure what happened to Kirk, but he is shown as 4 laps down. And this is devastating, maybe a problem for the 61. As let's actually take a look. And he has crashed. That is what has happened. Kirk Marble damaged, and looks like he's probably going to be out of the race, but trying to get the damage repaired and still on the racetrack. No cautions to help him out. It's now Zach Nichols going to get past, or rather Anthony Burrows maintaining his gap to Zach Nichols. Derek Justice slowly creeping into the picture here, and Chris Simard not letting him get away. So Simard, who's also looking for his first victory of the year, 37 V-Speed Camaro right in tow behind the 31, and maybe trying to save a little bit of fuel, extend this run as far as he can. Ian Smith back on the racetrack now, 2 laps down. And that is what will happen under green flag conditions. You'll lose a couple laps here if you're not right up there with the leader. Anthony Burrows, a mistake. Looks like he has tagged the outside wall. And Zach Nichols goes on by to take over the 2nd position. He's got left rear damage too. Let's see if we can go find what happened. Where he got the damage, but this is a battle between Burrows and Nichols. 44 all over the back bumper, a little contact there. Looks like Anthony had to chase it up the racetrack. Perhaps they had already made some contact, because that damage is already on the right front of the car at that point. Either way, Anthony Burrows back to 3rd and losing ground now to Nicholas Short. Zach Nichols tries to reel him in. Here comes the 28 of Ian Smith, and this is the difference between new and old tires. Probably about a second a lap difference. So Burrow, caution out on the speedway, and looks like the 48, possibly Matt Kemp. Oh, heavy damage on the Kemp machine, who came in the points leader in the playoffs, and he had the win last week, so not off to a good start. And that's also going to hurt Ian Smith, who's showing his 2 laps down. He will get one of those back, but still going to be scored off the lead lap. So unfortunate timing for Ian Smith, who made the early pit stop, and that may come back to bite him, as Matt Kemp trying to get that thing lowered down and onto the pit lane. Let's go back and take a look at what happened to Matt. Just tags the outside wall out of turn 2, chases it down the racetrack, hard contact with the inside wall, and that pancakes the left side. Tags the rear end one more time on the inside guardrail, and definitely gonna have problems there. And we're getting word that Kirk Marble's damage is from trying to get on the pit lane. He slammed into the end of the pit road barrier, and that is what gave him all the damage. He's back on the racetrack, but 6 laps off the pace. He's got no hood on the race car, so gonna be a tough one for the 61, who comes in here inside the playoff picture. If we bring that up, he actually comes in 6th in points, just a few above the cut line, and he's going to have to try and salvage as many points as he can. Matt Kemp probably going to drop to the bottom of the leaderboard, as he is currently behind the wall, the number 48 car, and that could be disastrous for him. We mentioned that he was probably safe unless it was a complete inverse of the finishing order from last week, but if he does finish in 10th, it opens him up to the possibility of not advancing. It could be a rough one for Matt Kemp, who looked like he was well on his way to round number 2. And once again, we want to thank you all for tuning in. Cheer on your favorite driver in the chat. We're just about at halfway. Cheer them on and let us know who you're rooting for here tonight. We'll give you a shout out on the broadcast and let the drivers know that you are cheering for them. We want to thank all the sponsors tonight. That's Crockett Creek Beef Jerky, Below the Double Yellow Podcast, Next Level Racing, as well as the ButtKicker and Blaze Pizza, all great sponsors of this series, and V-Speed. And we appreciate them being on board all season here with this league. And just a few more races to go. We have 3 more after this one, and I can't believe that it is winding down already. It seemed like just the other day we started this season up with some incredible races at both Auto Club and Texas. And we're coming down to the final stretch here. These drivers trying to find their way into round 2 of the playoffs and have a shot in round number 3. Is Kirk Marble actually going to get a wave around here, and he will go back to 6 laps down. Matt Kemp still behind the wall. I'm not sure if he is totally done or if he's going to try and bring that car back out on the speedway. If you're enjoying the broadcast, please consider getting your own V-Speed merch. It helps support the stream as well as the iRacing community. First 25 to use the code NORSE5 will save $5 on their purchase of $10 or more. As we are about to get back to the green flag here. Number 44 of Zach Nichols back out front. Looks like a pretty solid pit stop and a good exit off the pit lane will put him in the top spot here. He's got a little bit of right front damage where I think he made contact with Anthony Burrows, but a good jump, and he goes early to avoid the same issues Nichols short had getting up through the gears, and Nichols going to get out in front now by about 10 car lengths going down into turn number 1. But we saw how strong Nicholas Short was through that entire first run, over 50 laps. He was out in front by around 2 seconds, but Derek Justice has now found his way into the fold, and we'll see if he decides to try and race it up with these guys, or if he once again drags that car to the back. As Keith Mayato now under fire from Anthony Burrows down through turns 1 and 2, approaching the halfway point in this race. Burrows looking for the best possible finish he can salvage, as Zach Nichols with an issue goes down on the apron. Not sure what happened. Let's take a look here. Oh, maybe a connection problem or a technical issue. He never made contact with the wall, just the car hooked left. He goes on to the apron. That car is sliding. He does regain control, able to get it back up to speed. But a bizarre sequence there as Nichols now to the 7th position, over 3 seconds behind your leader. And that surely didn't help his tires. Ian Smith's right up here racing up with everyone on the lead lap, but he is 1 lap off the pace. Kirk Marble right there behind him, actually maintaining pretty good speed for a car that doesn't have a hood on it. So very, very interesting. We'll see if Kirk can actually capture a few more laps here. And maybe even gain a spot, as he actually has Matt Kemp still behind the wall. Looks like he is probably done for the night now, 7 laps down in the 10th position, and likely not going to be coming back to make any of that ground up. So Matt Kemp in jeopardy of not advancing. Depending on where everyone else finishes, we'll have to get confirmation as the race gets closer to the end. But Nicholas Short out in front once again. He has put a 0.7 of a second gap over Anthony Burrows in the 62. Right back where he was in the middle of last run, but he's got new challengers behind him. And Derek Justice, Keith Mato, and Chris Samard, who were all saving tires early on in the first run. And it'll be interesting to see if they can take it to the end of the race on fuel here. Currently fastest car on the speedway is Zach Nichols, who's passed Kirk Marble, trying to close in on 72 Eric Royce. He will complete that pass out of turn number 2. 72 lets him get up in the top lane, and now he sets his sights on lap car Ian Smith. But he has closed the gap by over a second since he had that incident down into turn number 3. And it is definitely going to be close on fuel for these guys. 72 laps to go. This time at the line, we saw a few drivers go around the 60 lap mark onto the pit lane, and we'll have to see if they can stretch it out to 72 laps. That is going to be quite the run. So I don't think it is impossible. Now Zach Nichols looks to the inside of Ian Smith, trying to get back up here and race it up with the top 5. He has closed that gap back up now, just a few car lengths behind Chris Samard. And currently running about a quarter of a second faster than anyone else on the track. So either driving that car extremely hard, or he has found something that is really helping him out here on this run. Right on the back bumper of Chris Samard is now the top 5. Other than Nicholas Short, all in line, and Derek Justice going to move to the 2nd position. So the 31 car finding its way towards the front once again. As he ran 10th for about 45 laps of this race, and then started picking them off one by one. And now the gap just over 0.8 up to Nicholas Short. Short must be worried. This was a very similar situation last week at Charlotte, as Nicholas Short had the pole, but I think it was Matt Kemp out in front when Derek Justice climbed through the field to take the lead last week. So Nicholas Short knows what it feels like to be Matt Kemp in that scenario. Just 0.7 of a second between the top 2, and Anthony Burrows really under pressure from Zach Nichols. He's already felt this pressure once this race. We'll see if they fight it out for very long, or the 44 can find his way past here quickly. As he goes right to the back bumper on the front straightaway, it looks to the inside, now down into turn number 1. 44 with the nose out in front, he will take the spot away. Anthony Burrows drops to the 4th position, and right behind him, Keith Mato, Chris Samard, and these speed machines hanging on to 5th and 6th. saw those two teammates battle last week at Charlotte in the closing laps, maybe costing the 36 Amato a chance to contend, but Matt Kemp was well out in front. And then he also had to deal with Zach Nichols in the closing laps, and that most likely sealed the deal for Matt Kemp to take that victory away. But he is not safe, like we've already mentioned. Currently last car in the field and out of the race with no chance to advance position unless somebody else goes out and he makes his way back into the event. But just made contact down on the inside wall on the pack straightaway in the number 48 machine, and his night is over. 28 of Ian Smith also got caught up in the pit cycle a lap down, and he's just hoping something happens here so he can have a chance to go back up and fight it out on the lead lap with these guys. But not currently looking like that's going to happen. Kurt Marble also had an issue coming to pit lane, got a lot of damage on the front end of that race car, and showing his 6 laps off the pace. He is in danger of falling out of playoff contention. 72 of Eric Royce, last car on the lead lap right there in front of him. Just kind of riding his own race. He is 3.6 seconds behind the leader. And like we mentioned, Eric is inside the cut line. You can see it right there. He is the 7th position in points, but only safe by a couple points. And right now, the closest contenders, Anthony Burrows and Derek Justice, are out in front of him. And he would be out of contention if it were to end right now. So he's going to have to try and find a couple spots and try and seal his spot in the playoffs. Right now, it looks like maybe the odd man out could possibly be Ian Smith. Possibly Kirk Marble. So things getting interesting here now past halfway by about 15 laps, and Nicholas Short has absolutely dominated this event. He's led 82 out of 91 laps after starting on the pole, and we've seen Nicholas do this time and time again here recently. Even last week at Charlotte, he led 47 laps after starting on the pole, but made some mistakes in the midsection of the race, and he ended up finishing in the 8th spot. But he has started inside the top 5 for now 10 straight weeks, with this being his 4th pole award in that stretch. So very, very good at qualifying, and he has led a ton of laps here over the course of that span. Led 95 at New Hampshire, the first 95 laps before getting passed up by Derek Justice, and ultimately they came together, ending their chances to win the race, and he ended up taking it behind the wall early in that event. So we'll see if he can find some redemption here and actually hang on to this one, as that same challenger and Derek Justice still hanging back there about 3/4 of a second, and Zach Nichols behind him as well. Those guys no stranger to each other, and now 20 races into the year, they've all run alongside each other, and they're very comfortable at this point, it seems, as Anthony Burrows sees the 2 V-Speed machines coming up in his rear view mirror. Burrows with the right front damage, and the damage on the left rear. Looks like that's actually been corrected for the most part, but I would think the right front damage probably hampering the cornering ability of the 62 machine. And if you are a NASCAR fan, you watch the Daytona 500, I'm sure you've heard the news about Ryan Newman and that wicked crash that he had at the finish of that race. But incredible news, he was actually released from the hospital today, and just very great news for the entire NASCAR community that he was able to survive that crash. Not only survive, but actually make it out of the hospital within a couple days, and no obvious broken bones or anything from what I can tell. So we still pray for a speedy recovery. Whatever he may be going through might be concussion-like symptoms or something along those lines. But luckily, he is still with us and able to go back home to his daughters tonight. So great story over there, and looking forward to see him get back in the race car. As these guys battle it out here in turns 1 and 2, we are coming up to lap 100. Nicholas Short hanging on to his lead, but Derek Justice starting to chip away, now down to just over 0.6 of a second, and we'll see what he can do here now under 0.6. And we'll see if any of these drivers try and short pit if they can't make it, or if everybody just tries to stretch it to the end. And it remains to be seen what that strategy is going to look like. But now over 30 laps in this run, so definitely a good job keeping it green and clear here tonight. The only caution brought out by Matt Kemp, and just the 3 lead changes. Nicholas Short has led the majority of the race here tonight and continues to lead, with the gap closing as the track is actually cooling down just a little bit. About 6 degrees cooler than it started. The air temp looks to be the same. But time is passing. Looks like the sun a little lower in the sky from where it was. That track temp starting to come down along with it. Nicholas Short, like we said, out in front. He has led 93 of the 102, now 94 of the 102 laps we've been running. And if he can lead just a couple more, it would be the most he's led in a race this year. And all the other races he's finished, it looks like either 5th or worse when he has led more than 40 laps. His best finish being 5th place at Michigan, where he led 40 laps exactly after starting on the pole, and now has tied his most laps led in a race this year. But he will surpass that going by the line this time. So Nicholas Short looking like he's in top form here in this race, 2 weeks in a row on the pole and leading laps. Just needs to figure out how to close the deal, as Derek Justice still about a half second back, has not been able to close up all that much. But he does slowly chip away there in turns 1 and 2. He seems to lose some ground out of 3 and 4, where the aerodynamics come into play just a little bit more. And I think he's starting to struggle with a push condition. You can see how close he's getting to the wall there. But let's go inside the car with Derek Justice and see what he's working with. Pretty much as smooth as you would like. Not struggling with any kind of a loose condition. I think the drivers maybe just getting tighter and tighter as the race goes on. And who is your pick for the win here tonight? Now over 2/3 of the way through the race, we're closing in on the final stretch. We've been under green here for now over 40 laps. And the gap now just a half second between Nicholas Short and Derek Justice. These guys have made contact at one point this season at New Hampshire, costing themselves both the win. And they have been fierce competitors on the track this season for sure. So we'll see if any kind of tempers flare, or what Derek Justice is going to do if he does get up there. Zach Nichols also in reach of these two, 1.3 seconds back of Nicholas Short in the 3rd position, and just about 0.8 behind Derek Justice. So he is not out of the picture at all. And He is a 2-second gap back to Anthony Burrows, who's won 5 races on the season, but not shown that same speed the last couple weeks. Anthony started 4th. It's where he continues to run. He was in 2nd for a good portion of this race. He still has the V-Speed machines behind him, but I think maybe might be a little bit of long-run strategy going on among these 3 cars. We see Keith running a middle line back there behind him. Chris Simard more the low line, and that way they can both get a little bit of air on the nose and try and keep those tires cool, as well as keep the downforce in those race cars, as Simard actually tags the wall there. So that is going to hurt him. You can see the right front wrinkled over there. You can actually see down through the hood flap. Not going to be good for Chris Simard, as he does have right rear damage as well, so it looks like maybe tagged with the right rear. That slapped the right front into the wall. But he hangs on to 6th position, trying to catch up to his teammate there in 5th. Now in front, Derek Justice has arrived, just 0.2 of a second between himself and Nicholas Short. This battle is going to get very, very interesting as the 99 continues to lead. And it's going to be up to Derek Justice to find a safe way around. So hard to pass with so many laps on the tires. Derek Justice has charged all the way from the back of the pack at one point in this race to now 2nd position. He's been in every spot other than the lead in this race. As Nicholas Short, a little piece of the apron there. Derek Justice also clipped it. Short leads his 106th lap of the race. And they continue to run 1-2, but the gap just 1 car length down into turns 3 and 4. Derek Justice looking a little bit higher through the corner. The 99 sticks right down by the apron. And it is just so hard to make that outside line work if you can't get the leverage on the driver down low. And we'll see if Derek is able to do that at any point here, but approaching 50 laps on the tires is going to be a tall order to make the outside line work. And the laps are just clicking away here. They're running currently 24.1 second laps, and on the previous run, we saw drivers start to hit about 60 to 62 laps into the stint, but it may be possible for them to make it the entire distance. It'll be an 82 or 83 lap run, which I don't know if it's possible, but now Derek Justice right on the back bumper of Nicholas Short down through 1 and 2. He is just following him step by step along the racetrack here, and just putting pressure, hoping the 99 makes a mistake all on his own, as we do like to see Derek Justice run clean. He's one of the cleanest guys out there, and he now makes the move to the inside. He's going to have a little bit of leverage. Nicholas Short trying to hang on up high. He's not going to be able to get back to the throttle, and now the lead going to change hands under green. Derek Justice comes from the back of the pack to the front, and he's going to lead his first lap here on lap 119. This 120 goes up on the board, and going to be 30 to go next time by. So perfect timing for Derek Justice as he climbs to the top spot, pulling it away from Nicholas Short, and we'll see if the 99 can continue to keep up or if he is going to fade at this point. And Zach Nichols still back here in 3rd. Got to give Zach a lot of props for his performance this year. He missed a few races, and then when he came back, 4 second place runs out of the last 5 events. So just an incredible streak of finishes here, and led some laps last week at Charlotte as well. During a pit cycle, and almost closed back in to challenge Matt Kemp, but didn't quite get there. Was out in front. Derek Justice leading by 0.4. Nicholas Short starting to lose some time. He's about a tenth slower per lap, and Zach Nichols about 2/10 slower at the moment. But Anthony Burrows in fourth. Eric Royce has taken fifth position away from Chris Simard and Keith Mayato. Mayato maybe with an issue, or perhaps he is saving fuel. I'm going to listen and see if I can hear anything about Keith. Not clutching it, no changes there, but looks like he's very smooth on the throttle. Maybe not full throttle down the straightaways. Currently running just about a tenth slower than your leader, so probably not saving. As Kirk Marble brings it back down the pit lane, he is getting repairs completed once again. Now 2 minutes on pit road, and looks like his night is over as he actually takes it behind the wall and is going to call it a race. So Kirk Marble in danger of not advancing to round number 2 of the playoffs here. Yeah, and Eric Royce definitely picking up time, and we saw this last week at Charlotte. He was one of the drivers that tried to save with Derek Justice, and he climbed through the field as well as Derek did, and now he is out in front of Chris Simard and Keith Mayato, who may be trying a similar strategy, and he's starting to close in on Anthony Burrows, so got to keep an eye on the 72. Currently the fastest car on the speedway by about a half-tenth over Derek Justice. So 72 making gains when he needs to, and he's up inside the top 5 when it counts. And thanks for pointing that out as well, Delta Echo. Appreciate that. Sometimes we miss those details when we're watching the lead battle. Chris Simard tags the apron there. He's starting to charge the corners very hard, and he's running just as quick as the 72, even with the right front and the left rear damage on that machine. Actually, fastest car on the speedway last time. And Ian Smith also very quick. He was second fastest on the track. And then Eric Royce as well, very quick, all running in the 24.2s. Whereas Derek Justice in the 24, now in the 24.2s, but has been in the 24.3s for a couple laps. And he's pulled a 1 second gap over Nicholas Short, so that battle has dissolved, and now the battle for third starting to heat up as Zach Nichols unusually is falling behind. Not as successful on this long run as we would have expected. Anthony Burrows just 2/10 behind him. Eric Royce, Chris Simard all closing in. Let's go to the nose cam. You can see here all 4 of these machines right in line, and then it's about a second back to Keith Mayato, who can see them all out the windshield. Keith's going to have to be careful as well that his 2 finishes are good enough to advance to round 2. Currently 7th on track, last driver on the lead lap, so Keith's going to have to be careful here. Maybe going to try and make up some ground. I have a feeling that Keith is saving some fuel. I think it could be very close for many of these drivers. As Derek Justice out in front. Let's go on board with Derek and see if he's trying any strategy to save fuel here. Really waiting on that throttle to get off the corner, but doesn't sound like he's kind of babying it or anything. Seems like he is really pushing the race car. Nicholas Short now 1.6 seconds behind. I think a lot of drivers really starting to fall off here. Simard gets by Zach Nichols, and Nichols actually back to 6th. He's going to fall into the clutches of Keith Mayato here in just a couple laps. At the pace that he is currently running at 25.1, and perhaps Zach trying to save fuel at this point. Very tough to do at this racetrack. I've tried it once before and it really didn't work out for me, so traditional methods of saving don't really work here, I should say. you have to kind of run smooth and not necessarily the clutching or shutting the engine off, but just run the short line and use as little throttle as possible and keep your momentum up. You can make it to the end generally, or stretch it a little bit. The gap now 2 seconds from Derek Justice to Nicholas Short, and by far and away, Justice the fastest car on the track. Anthony Burrows also pretty quick, and he's got Chris Simard all over his back bumper. Simard's starting to pick up the pace. He's in the 5th, looking to take that 4th spot away, and Keith Mayato closing in on them as well. And Keith actually ran a pretty slow lap there, so he is shutting it off. You could hear there, engine turned off for Mayato as he hangs on to 6th position. Zach Nichols back here actually bringing it down the pit lane, so just over 10 to go. Nichols on pit road. Is he just going to take fuel? Does he take tires? What is going to be the plan? As he finished runner-up last week, going to be going a lap down here. And Keith Mayato back here right in front of Ian Smith. Ian 1 lap down. He's going to have to figure out a way to make it. He did hit 1 lap later than everyone else, so Ian might be in a might have a better shot of making it to the end. But it is probably going to come down to fuel mileage here, and did Derek Justice save enough to win this race as Zach Nichols off the pit lane? He did take tires, a 14.1 second stop. And it could be possible to take no tires and just take fuel and potentially come out on top in this race, especially if you have any kind of advantage over the rest of the field already. But Nicholas Short leading 110 laps here today. He finds himself 2nd with 11 to go. Things winding down extremely quickly here. And we'll have to see who can make it and who cannot. As Simard still all over the back bumper of Anthony Burrows. This is 4th and 5th on your screen. And let's listen in with Chris Simard, see what he is doing here. He is not clutching or shutting the engine off. Anthony Burrows not doing that either. Eric Royce still on the throttle, Nicholas Short on the throttle, and then Derek Justice 3.5 seconds out in front has absolutely left everyone in the dust. Under 10 laps to go. We will have to see if he can make it, as Anthony Burrows is going to get passed up by Chris Simard, so that position changes hands, 4th and 5th. And Burrows needs every point he can get. Look on the outside looking in coming into tonight's race. 5th place result would probably be enough, but he has to get as many as possible, and that one extra point could play a role in not advancing if it comes down to it. We'll have to see if Anthony will make it. Now 7 laps to go. Derek Justice on the back straightaway, still leading the way, 4.3 seconds out in front of Nicholas Short, who's falling into the clutches of Eric Royce. And Royce absolutely on the gas pedal here, 2nd fastest car on the speedway. And he has closed that gap up to Nicholas Short, who's running well off the pace that he was running earlier. The 72 machine really closing in. Now just 1 car length, a half car length down the back straightaway. Going to be 5 to go next time by. The battle is on for 2nd as Zach Nichols unlaps himself once, but still a lap down. And he shows in the 8th position on the standings. Keith Mayato also back here in 6th. He is about a second behind Anthony Burrows, so I'm not sure if all of these guys can make it. It's going to be very close. Some may commit to come into pit lane. But gonna be 4 to go here, so I think Derek Justice can make it. He would have shown some signs of changing his lane or like changing his throttle control, but has not fallen off very much. And right now that battle is still on for second, but Chris Samard has closed in. And we got 3 cars fighting for second through fourth. As Eric Royce looks low, he's going to try and make a move down here in turn 1. Nicholas Short shuts the door on him. 72 gives him the bumper. Oh, through the corner, the 99 able to hang on to it. But that is going to check everybody up. Here comes Anthony Burrows to the inside. He's going to try and take advantage in a huge gaggle of race cars now coming to the line. It's going to be 2 to go as Derek Justice down through turns 1 and 2. Thinking he's going to be able to make it. Anthony Burrows has climbed to second after that whole mess. And now Nicholas Short losing spots rapidly. Definitely cooked the tires right there as he drops now to 6th behind Chris Samard, who had closed in. Keith Mayato with an opportunity to get back on the podium, but Derek Justice, who came so close to a victory last week, but made the pit road mistake, and that cost him. He's going to get redemption as down through turns 3 and 4. Derek Justice going to win himself into round number 2 of the playoffs with his victory here at Dover. And coming to the line, second place, Anthony Burrows going to take second. Keith Mayato third. Chris Samard going to hang on for fourth. Nicholas Short finishes in 5th with Eric Royce potentially running out of fuel. He's just coasting across the line in the 6th position. And Ian Smith going to finish in 7th. Zach Nichols with issues late. He's going to come home in 8th. I think he will advance due to his 2nd place run last week. But Derek Justice wins the race at Dover. And he is going to advance into next round. We'll have to get official word from race control. Looked like he was almost going to do a reverse burnout there. Just parks it on the start-finish line here, though. As he's about to begin that celebration right up against the flag stand. Not sure what he's trying to do here exactly. I think he's out of fuel. So maybe that was all she wrote right there. But Derek Justice going to win tonight's race at Dover. And a huge congratulations to Derek as he takes the victory. We're going to cut to commercial break and be right back with post-race interviews, so don't go anywhere.
Crockett Creek Beef Jerky, we don't have fancy Madison Avenue advertising. We don't have famous Hollywood endorsements. We don't have mythical creatures as mascots. See, here at Crockett Creek, we're proud of what we don't have. No artificial preservatives or chemicals, gluten-free, and no added MSG. Just all natural, small batch protein made in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains. Enjoy Crockett Creek Jerky, from our backyard to yours.
With the ButtKicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. ButtKicker. The future is feeling.
And we are back at the racetrack now. We're going to bring up, we're going to start with third place finisher Keith Mayato and get a quick word in with him. Keith Mayato, this is Adam in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy?
I do.
Well, Keith, you get another podium finish here. This is 2 weeks in a row. We saw kind of mixed strategies here tonight. Looked like a fuel run at the end. And how did the car handle for you here tonight?
I found it pretty tight, actually. I had worse tire wear than my teammate, and that usually never happens. But I just couldn't get the car rotating as well as I would like to without overdriving it. But sometimes you just get lucky.
Yeah, and things kind of fell your way there. We saw a huge stack up between a few of those drivers fighting for the second position, and you were able to sneak on through and capture another runner-up finish, or a podium finish rather. And it's going to put you in good position to advance to the next round. So what are your thoughts on going to Kentucky next week?
That should be interesting, but I think it'll be fun. You know, smaller track, still fast. Especially, I don't know if I even run these cup cars on there yet, so I think it's gonna be fun. Hopefully, we got a decent field to.
Yeah, Kentucky, pretty interesting flat track, a whole lot different from here at Dover, but nonetheless, we'll see what you can do out there. But come home third here tonight after starting in 8th position. Pretty uneventful race for you, but nice solid run. Anybody you want to give a shout out to for the finish?
Yeah, shout out again to yourself, Adam, and all the great work you do with V-Speed. And shout out to John and Matt for putting on this great league at the.
Awesome, Keith. Well, congrats on another top 3 run here, and we'll see you next week at Kentucky.
Thank you. Have a good one, Adam.
Thank you. You too. That was third place finisher Keith Mayato. Looks like Anthony Burrows not in the chat channel here, so there you go. There he is, actually. We'll bring him up right now. Anthony Burrows, Adam in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, Anthony, you never quite got to the front of the field here tonight, but it seemed like you hung around 2nd through 5th here, and just very interesting race overall. But how was the car for you tonight? And give us a rundown of how things went from your perspective.
It was extremely tight all night long. First couple laps on tires, it was kind of loose on exit under the throttle. Yeah, it was just plowing for me all night long, and I hit the wall like lap 50 or something. I think Zach got a bit of damage, so sorry to him about that. And yeah, ever since I got that damage, it was kind of just hurting me the rest of the race. I don't know. I still came out with 2nd. I thought I was just gonna have to settle for like 5th or 6th towards the end there. But kind of got lucky that Nick and Eric kind of tangled together with like 3 to go, I believe. And I passed all of them somehow. So yeah, very happy about that. I think I'm good on the playoffs now because of that, but we'll have to see. But overall, yeah, that race could have gone a bit better for me, I think, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, 2nd place result. Definitely not nothing to be upset about. It's a great run for you, and definitely an improvement over Charlotte last week, which kind of put you in a hole. So it does look like you'll probably advance based on where your closest competitors finished. We'll have to get official confirmation from the admins here, but another solid run and back to the form that we're used to seeing you in. And we go to Kentucky next week, so what are your thoughts on going to that track?
Just looking to survive. That's probably my worst track on here. So if I can like sneak a top 5 out of it, I'd be pretty happy about that. And I think it's Phoenix after that. I think that's one of my best tracks. So yeah, it should be an interesting next round. Hopefully get a couple good finishes out of it.
Yeah, we'll definitely look to see if you can get kind of back up on the horse like you were for the first 18 or so races there, and start that top 5 and win streak back up again. But definitely been a solid season. You're going to advance, I believe, to round number 2. So anyone you want to give a shout out to for tonight's second place run?
Yeah, big shout out to Derek for getting the win tonight. Shout out to Nick too. He was really quick all night long. Shout out to you for putting the broadcast on. Thank you to all the sponsors, and big thank you to everyone who puts on this league every week.
Awesome, Anthony. Well, congrats again on another podium finish here, a second place finish. And we'll see you next week at Kentucky.
Thank you.
All right, that was Anthony Burrows. Let's bring up our
Missy
winner
Vic.
here tonight. Derek Justice is Adam in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy?
I sure do.
Hey, Derek. Well, you kind of pulled the same strategy as last week, but it worked out a whole lot better for you here tonight. You come out on top at Dover. You won at a very similar track in Bristol, about a month and a half ago, but great run for you, and you just drove away at the end. So what did you do to keep the tires underneath you and capture a victory?
Just pretty much just don't overdrive the corners and burn up the right front, because with this tire model, it's easy to do at any track. So just pretty much don't overdrive the entry and just be patient on the throttle, center off. And I knew when that caution came out, it was going to be a fuel mileage race. So I knew in my mind that people were going to start saving, then end up saving too much. So because as the run goes on, you're going to naturally save gas, because the tire wear means more off throttle time. So when I went, I was about 3 laps short. Then by the time the tires were, I was able to save those 3 laps. So as you can tell, I ran out of gas doing a burnout. So yeah, it's just you gotta be really disciplined on the throttle, and when you want to go, you gotta be like on your marks, because if you slide up a little bit, it's just gonna wear out the right front.
Yeah, it's so hard with the new downforce package, the big tall spoilers, to run behind people and make passes. But it seemed like you would save those tires early on, and maybe have that advantage. Was it tough getting up through traffic when you were coming from the back there?
Oh, it definitely was. I mean, when you get up right behind people, you just have no turn-off exit. And when we had that restart there with 80 something to go, I'm thinking, oh man, people are gonna be saving. So I ended up clutching the entire pace laps just to save that little bit extra just in case. But when I was trying to get the nick, I was just telling myself, just pace myself, don't pace his. And eventually, when I started, push the car just a little bit just to get up to him, and hopefully he made a mistake. Looks like he was looked like he was getting tied off the corner, and I knew I was going to get my chance if he pushed up enough, and I got a run on him and passed him for a lead. And it looked like he was conceding his position there, which I don't know if he was just trying to save more fuel or not, but it was kind of easy. Like like I said, Nick races me hard. I expect him to race me hard at the time. I had no problem with him, and it just looks like his car just did not want to turn off center exit. So it was relatively easy to get around him.
Yeah, and the opportunity arose. You went underneath, you made the pass, and never looked back. You win by nearly 7 seconds, which I think he took the lead with maybe 20 to go, 25 to go, and just really drove off into the dust. And you take your 3rd win of the year, started 7th here, led 32 laps. We head to Kentucky next week. Any thoughts on going out there?
My home track, so y'all better be ready.
And I'm sure they will be, but you're going to be in the playoffs. You were on the outside looking in, so you're going to still have a fighting chance to go home and take the championship, maybe get another win on the season. So we'll keep an eye out for you there. You come home the winner here tonight. Anyone you want to give a shout out to for the victory?
Yeah, well, for this victory, that makes up for last week for my screw up on pin entry. But yeah, thank you for Adam Baker v Speed Sim for putting this broadcast on, as always. Doing this single-handedly it's tough to do, I'm sure, so I really appreciate that. And of course, my viewers that are watching me today, Bastard Robin, Splash and Go Graphics at Cosman, Irish Shoes paints fantastic cars, and Toyota and Purely T, and everybody out there watching.
Awesome, Derek. Well, congrats on another victory, your 3rd of the season, and on to the 2nd round of the playoffs. We will catch you next week at your home track, Kentucky.
All right, thanks, Adam.
All right, that was your winner here tonight, Derek Justice. We're going to go through the rest of the results here, and we'll see if we've got any word from our admins here in the league, but we'll have to wait on that probably until the next broadcast to give the official scoring. So let's go to the rest of our results and go through all of that. Looks like I accidentally skipped forward here, so give me 1 second. We'll get those results back up, or I can run through them myself here. That's going to be your results on the left side. So 1 second here. Sorry about that. One caution tonight, 4 lead changes. Pretty uneventful, but we did see that key pass for the lead by Derek Justice. He comes home your winner. Anthony Burrows finishes in the second position after a big mix-up there between Short and Eric Royce, who end up coming out on the losing end of that whole deal. But Burrows snuck past. He finishes second and returns to form that we saw earlier in the season. Keith Mayato finishes in third. A good run for him. Chris Samard finishes in fourth. Another great run for him. Nicholas Short comes home in fifth after leading so many laps here tonight. Sixth place was Eric Royce, last car on the lead lap. Ian Smith did finish in seventh, 1 lap down. Zach Nichols comes home eighth, 1 lap down as well. And Kirk Marvel ninth. He was out of the race, it looks like 38 or 39 laps off the pace. And then Matt Kemp rounds out the field of starters here in 10th position, 83 laps off the pace. So it's going to be very interesting to see how things get shaken up in terms of points. I believe the top 4 or 5 in this race all are going to advance. And let's actually see if we can bring up the point standings coming into the event and maybe do a little bit of detective work here. So Anthony Burrows looks like he is probably going to be in. I'm not sure about Nicholas Short, though. He did beat Eric Royce in this race, but only by 1 spot. So Kirk Marble finished a few positions behind him. It's gonna be very tight in terms of the cut line. So we're gonna have to get official word from the admins here. But we want to thank you all for tuning in tonight to V-Speed. This has been another presentation of the NorseForce Valhalla Cup Series. You can find us here on Twitch each and every week at V-Speed Sim. So please consider following or subscribing if you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. You can also find us over on YouTube at V-Speed Media if you want to see previous races as well as other interesting automotive and racing content. And you can consider subscribing or following us over there. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/VSpeedSim, where we post race announcements before each and every broadcast. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter, where we post those same announcements, as well as other interesting racing news, new merchandise and products, partnerships, sponsors, and all of that kind of stuff. So check us out on all of those platforms. We appreciate you tuning in here once again to the NorseForce Valhalla Cup Series presentation of the Dover 200. We'll be back next week with the first race of round 2 in the playoffs. You won't want to miss it. We're going to Kentucky, and we are gonna raid a kind of new channel here. Give these guys a little bit of attention. They are going to be broadcasting, or they're currently broadcasting, the Somo Racing League Daytona 500, and you can see a couple of the V-Speed drivers, Seth Hatchell and Ryan Gemmel, over there on that broadcast in that race. So enjoy that content, and we will catch you all next week.